You've spent months building a proprietary web application on top of Python and Django, and it is finally time to launch. But right before deployment, you apply the standard open-source BSD license from the Django repository to your entire commercial codebase to save time on legal drafting. Under UK law, copyright protection arises automatically the moment you write original code. An end-user license agreement, or EULA, is simply the contractual tool used to dictate exactly how a customer is allowed to use that copyrighted work. By substituting a proprietary EULA with an open-source license, you strip away your intended commercial protections. You are granting users the right to freely copy, modify, and redistribute the very product you are trying to sell. Modern applications are almost never written entirely from scratch. They are complex assemblies of borrowed components, libraries, and frameworks. Because of this, there is no single, universal Django or Typhon software EULA. Python operates under the Python Software Foundation licensing terms, and Django uses the BSD 3-clause license. Both are governed by their own independent rules. Your proprietary EULA has a much narrower job. It is a separate contract that only grants the end user permission to access the specific application layer that you built on top of those underlying technologies. Failing to legally separate your proprietary code from these foundational layers leaves your business exposed. During enterprise sales or acquisition due diligence, a buyer will see that you don't actually own the exclusive rights to the product you are selling. Visualize these legal obligations as a tech stack. Layer 1, Frameworks, houses Python and Django at the bottom. You can build on them, but must preserve copyright notices and cannot claim the code. On top is Layer 2, tracking external integrations via an SBOM. Every individual font, dataset, and JavaScript library in this grid carries its own third-party rules. Your commercial application cannot legally override the terms attached to those specific components. When you look at this stacked structure, it becomes clear that applying a blanket statement of proprietary ownership across a modern web application is factually false. Finally, we reach Layer 3. This is your proprietary application code and its governing EULA, the final user-facing tier of the product. Unlike the open-source license, a proprietary EULA defines your subscription boundaries, allocates risk, and limits your financial liability in the event of a software failure. However, a EULA has strict limits. It cannot override mandatory UK consumer rights, and it is not a replacement for registering a patent or trademark. It provides zero technical security. Legal text will not stop hacking, prevent password sharing, or block unauthorized data scraping. Ultimately, your EULA is a contractual risk management tool for that specific top layer, rather than a shield for the entire application's architecture. The legal effectiveness of a EULA depends entirely on the specific interaction where it is presented to a user, whether that occurs during account creation, a download, or a purchase. Adding an all rights reserved statement in your footer or providing a passive link to terms at the bottom of a website fails to form a binding contract. If you attempt to force agreement using a pre-ticked checkbox, or if you bury your license terms inside a general privacy consent pop-up, those deployment flaws invalidate the contract under UK consumer law. You can draft a flawless, multi-layered legal document, but if the deployment mechanism fails to legally bind the user, the terms cannot be enforced. This registration screen shows the required standard for digital contract formation. The user must take an explicit action, like clicking this unticked box, beside a clear link. Clicking generates a log in your acceptance archive, capturing the user ID, EULA version, and timestamp. This tamper-evident backend log is the definitive proof of agreement. In a dispute, courts require evidence that a specific user agreed to specific terms at a specific time. To safely commercialize your software, you must validate your IP ownership, separate proprietary terms from the open source layers, and maintain a secure acceptance archive. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, save, and follow to stay updated with our latest educational videos.